morning, everyone. Welcome to my little home space here. And for those of you whom I haven't met in person yet, my name is Jen. I teach yoga kind of around the Fredericksburg area, and my real passion is combining yoga and anatomy. I'm an anatomy professor as well. So if you hear me kind of saying anatomical terms during practice, you could ignore me if it distracts you, but if it helps you, please listen and connect with it, because I find that it has really deepened my practice to combine yoga and anatomy, and to combine kind of Eastern and Western modalities of healing and knowing ourselves. So that's where I'm coming from. So today's practice is going to be gentle yoga. You can see I have a lot of props next to me here. My style is typically fairly gentle, so before we get started into anything, I just want to iterate that if any of this feels uncomfortable for you, if any of the postures feel uncomfortable or painful, trust your body. Move into a posture that feels more accommodating for you today. And one of the wonderful things about the at-home yoga practice is that it's at home and that it's comfortable and cozy. You can see I have my little cup of water here. So if you want to grab tea or water, make it nice and cozy in your space, please do. But also one of the challenges is that I can't see you, and I can't give recommendations for hands-on or things that might help. So this opportunity then falls on you to really trust your body, trust what it's saying to you in this moment, and to really honor that. Okay, so no matter what I'm cueing, if it feels painful or uncomfortable in any way, trust your body, trust yourself, and find something that feels good. Okay, so I did post something today about the props that we're going to need. If you don't have fancy yoga props, don't worry about it. You don't need them. I happen to, because I'm a yoga teacher, but you really don't need them. For example, if you have 2 blocks, go ahead and grab those. They can be cork or foam. Otherwise, books. Grab a couple books, okay? They can be used as blocks. If any of you have any of those old school phone books, this is a pretty comparable height to a yoga block. A bolster. If you have a bolster, great. Otherwise, grab a pillow. Okay, so I have a couple pillows just off my bed. This will work great as a bolster as well. You can certainly use that. And then blankets. Okay, 3 blankets if you have them. They could be yoga blankets like I have here, or they can be any old blanket off your bed, or a towel. Towels work too. And then a strap. Again, I have a yoga strap, but a belt, like a kendo belt or a belt from your pants or a belt from your jacket, that works too. Okay, so work with what you have, and if you don't have all these props, don't worry. Okay, I'll give you modifications of ways to work without props too. Okay, so go ahead and find a comfortable seated position on your mat or whatever space you have right here. And when you find your comfortable seat, let's just go ahead and close the eyes. Begin to bring your awareness to your breath. So I'm calling this practice asana for the lungs, or kind of breathing space, because I probably don't have to tell you this, but people are having a hard time breathing in this season and at this time. And that's not just because, we have a cold or a flu or whatever, but it's also because of the hesitancy to breathe deeply, or the fear associated with breathing deeply. So this practice is going to focus on deepening the breath, coming back to that feeling where the body is moving you as it breathes, and building some resiliency in the lungs and the ribs, in this whole kind of abdominal area, thoracic area. So on your next exhale, Go ahead and draw navel toward the spine. Fully empty the lungs of air. And on your next inhale, really inhale deeply. Allow the belly to rise as you breathe in. Allow the chest to rise, and if it helps, you can place one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest. And so really deepen this breath, inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. So as we inhale, we'll move into Dirghaswasam, which is 3-part yogic breath. As we inhale, we feel the belly rise, then the chest, and then the back of the throat. You can pause for a moment at the top of your inhale. And as you exhale, we allow the chest to fall, the navel to draw toward the spine as we breathe out. So we'll be here for a few cycles of breath. If your legs start to feel uncomfortable at any time, feel free to rearrange your position and really use this time to come back to the breath. So focus on the sensations that are arising in the body as you breathe. Focus on the feelings of the chest and the stomach as they rise and fall. And really focus your awareness on the thoughts that are arising as you sit here breathing. Notice what arises without engaging with it. Simply taking a moment to notice it, acknowledge it, and let it go. Bringing that awareness back to the breath time and time again. Allowing the breath to be your anchor to the present moment, your tether to this experience right now. And sometimes it helps me to picture myself in a little boat on the ocean. And the different thoughts that arise, the different feelings that arise are the waves that come. And you're just staying in your boat with your breath, with your awareness, noticing the waves that come up to the bow. And just bringing that awareness back to your center. Taking 3 more cycles of breath here at your own pace. Really feeling the body as it connects to the mat and to the earth below that. Breathing deeply through the feet or the hips, whatever's touching the earth. And also through the crown of the head. And on your next exhale, go ahead and allow the breath to return to normal. You can release the hands down to the thighs if you had them on your belly and your chest. And just begin to notice the sensations in the room around you. You can gently bat the eyelids open. Welcome. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and press forward onto all fours. We'll just start our practice today with a little bit of gentle movement in cat-cow. Now, if being on your knees does not agree with your body today, I offer you an alternative. You can come to lie on your back. And rather than moving through your traditional cat-cow, which I'll move to in a moment here, you can place your hands on your hip bones and just gently allow the pelvis to rock forward. Imagine that your hips are a clock and you're rocking forward to 6 o'clock. So you'll do this as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, you'll draw the pelvis toward the sky, the tailbone toward the sky, and you'll do this as you exhale. So you're rocking back to 12 o'clock. Right, so 6 o'clock on your inhale, 12 o'clock on your exhale. And again, this is if your knees do not like to have pressure on them. You can also bring your knees up if this is better on your low back, and do 6 and 12. Now, if you are taking your regular cat-cow, you can go ahead and come to all fours. Right, so just take a moment to set yourself up. Align the knees under your hip width. Okay, so everyone's hips are a little different. And rather than having the wrist straight under the shoulders, this puts a lot of pressure on the carpal tunnel and also on the outside of the hand, which we really don't want. Go ahead and walk the hands forward just about an inch or a half an inch or so, so the crease of the wrist is lined up under the shoulder. And then go ahead and inhale, allow the tailbone to reach up toward the sky, your chest presses forward, cow pose. And as you exhale, we're allowing the breath to lead us here. So we're drawing navel toward the spine as we round through the back, coming into cat pose. Inhaling, coming into cow. Exhaling back into cat pose. So continue this at your own breath pace. Once again, bring that awareness back to the breath. Notice the quality of your breath this morning, and allow it to guide you here. Allow your movements to begin with the breath. Really press through those hands. Imagine you have a nice big beach ball between your upper arms, and you're trying to squeeze that beach ball. Really engage the forearms here. If you like, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze and really tune into the sensations in the body right now. Be deepening the breath. If you like, you can start to kind of bump the hips from side to side, if that feels good in your body today. And if you're on your back taking the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock modification, you can start to incorporate side-to-side motions. So maybe bumping the hips to 3 o'clock, keeping the knees as straight as you can, not letting them drift to one side. And then bumping your hips to 6 o'clock. Again, keeping the knees at center. So just incorporating that if you're on your back, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock now. If you'd like to take circles with the hips, you may. Just really waking up through the spine and kind of priming the pump for the movements that we're going to go through this morning. Go ahead and complete 2 more cycles at your own breath pace. Once again, deepening the inhales and lengthening the exhales. And then when you complete that second cycle, go ahead and make your way up to your standing position, to your mountain pose. So take your time getting there. And when you arrive in your mountain pose, just taking a couple of breaths here to set yourself up. Okay, so making sure that the feet are hip-width distance apart. Allow the palms to rotate forward. And just breathe here into your mountain pose, maybe closing the eyes or softening the gaze. You can bring the hands to the chest and the belly once again if you like. Just take a couple full breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Noticing how it feels to breathe and stand on your own 2 feet this morning. Go ahead and go through 2 more cycles of breath here. And then you can go ahead and gently bat the eyes open if they're closed. Go ahead and take a block or a book and your strap or your belts. So we're going to bring our feet back to Tadasana, back to mountain pose. And you're going to take your block and you're going to place it between your thighs. Okay? And what we're doing is we're imagining that the femur bones, the thigh bones, are rolling in toward the block. Okay, and this really helps to relieve excess tension in the abdomen, eases up our breathing a bit. And then we'll take our strap and you'll pull it taut, okay, pull it tight. Now, if you have any shoulder injuries or shoulder surgeries or anything like that, feel free to take the strap as wide as you need to. Okay, we don't need to have it all tight together like this, but take it wide. Okay, that's totally fine. Let the shoulders breathe a little bit. So with your strap, go ahead and inhale the arms up and overhead, really pulling the strap. Imagine you're trying to tear the strap in half here. Okay, so we're inhaling to straighten the arms, and you're rolling those thigh bones in to grab the block. Good. The toes are still facing forward. Inhale through the crown of the head, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, we're going to bend to the right. Okay, so you can allow that strap to kind of guide you. Remember to rotate those thigh bones in. And as you bend to the right here, imagine your right lung is spiraling up toward the sky. Okay, so our thigh bones are rotating in, but our rib cage is rotating up toward the left. Breathe into that opening in the left side body. And on your next inhale, go ahead and come back to center. Come back to the breath. Deep breath in and out here at center. And on your next inhale, go ahead and lengthen through the spine. Reach toward the sky. And as you exhale, we'll bend to the left. Again, rolling the thigh bones in towards each other. Now the left lung is spiraling up toward the sky, spiraling open. So now this side of my body is opening up toward the right. Breathe here. Notice if the breath has become shorter. See if you can really pull the breath into the right side body. And on your next inhale, go ahead and come back to center. So now this time, let's go ahead and put the strap down by our sides, not too far because we'll grab it again in a moment. And we'll try it this time just with no strap. So inhale the arms up and overhead. Reach through those fingertips and go ahead and grasp left wrist with right hand. Reach through that left hand. Inhale. Exhale, bending to the right. Same opposition here where the thighs are rotating in, the rib cage is spiraling open. Breathe into that left side body. Pull the breath into that left side body. Allow your next inhale to carry you back up to center. Release the grip. Reach toward the sky as you inhale. Exhale, grasp right wrist with left hand. Inhale, reach toward the sky. Exhale, bending to the left. Thighs rotate in, rib cage spiral open. Breathe into that right side body. On your next inhale, come back to center, release the grip of the hands. This last time, it's your choice, either using the hands or using the strap. Okay, so whichever felt better in your body today, go ahead and do that for our last round here. Right, so once you get your strap or your hands, which you should already have, go ahead and inhale up toward the sky. And as you exhale, bend to the right. Breathe into that left side body. Inhale to center, reach up. Exhale, bend to the left. Inhale back to center. release the hand or the strap. And just go ahead and release the block here as well. Keep it close. And relax for a moment in mountain pose. Notice the feeling of the space in the head, the space in the chest, the space in the belly, the space in the hips, the pelvis. Notice how that feels. And then go ahead and gently open the eyes if they're closed. We're going to go ahead and take our second block, or our second book. We're going to bring these close to us here. Okay, so first off, go ahead and set them up. We're going to be standing long ways on our mat, so facing the long edge of our mat, and just go ahead and put your blocks in front of you here. We can adjust them as we need to. Okay, so then go ahead and come to a wide-legged stance. So if we're here in mountain, just go ahead and kind of walk the toes out wide. They don't have to be super wide. And then go ahead and bring your sight to your second toe. And just make sure that your second toe is facing toward that long side of your mat. So our heels are a little further out than our toes, basically. Okay, then go ahead and bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, we're going to fold forward. But imagine that your hips are coming up, over, and around your thigh bones. So I'll show you from the side here. So as you inhale, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, the hips come over and around the tops of the thigh bones, coming into forward fold. Okay, so take a moment here in forward fold. This might be your first hamstring opener of the day. So you can bring your blocks here to under your hands if the floor is not close enough to you. You can bring these blocks or books to any height. Okay, whatever height you need this morning. And then when you find a good, comfortable height, and maybe that's hands on the floor for you, go ahead and relax the head, the neck, the shoulders down, and just breathe here in forward fold for a few breaths. And then go ahead. I'm going to grab my blocks here. So feel free to use blocks if you like. It makes this a little bit more spacious in the back body. And take a moment here and just notice if the hips and the shoulders are in the same plane. Okay, so I'll turn to the side so you can kind of see mine. So if you see here, when I'm down on the ground, I put myself up with my blocks. Okay, again, creating space in the belly to help our diaphragm move down and back as we breathe. Okay, so now go ahead and bring your left block so that is right in front of your face, okay, right underneath of your vision here. Then we're going to go ahead and inhale the right hand to the lower back. We're coming into revolve triangle, but it's a modification here. It's a little kinder on the sacroiliac joint and the low back. So as you inhale, lengthen through the crown, breathe through the crown of the head. And then as we open to the right, first you're going to allow your hips to move. Okay, all twists start with the hips. So we're first going to allow the right hip bone to come up towards the sky, rotating open here to the right side. And then we're going to allow our rib cage to open up. Okay, so my pelvis twisted first, then my rib cage. Gentle bend in that left elbow. We don't want to have it overextended like this, but gentle bend. And if you like, you can even open that right arm up toward the sky. Gaze is looking straight at the wall to your right. Breathe into the belly. If this is too much on the arm, you could always keep it down on the low back. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow the rib cage to roll back down to center and the hips follow. So go ahead and come back to center and just rest at center for a couple of breaths. Noticing how the left side of body feels versus the right side body. Breathing here into the lungs. And then when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and now we're going to move our right block so that it is right in front of our face here. Now once you have that set up, go ahead and bring the left hand to the low back. And we're going to take the same thing on the left side. So you're going to inhale and allow the hips to move first. So allow the left hip to turn first, then the rib cage follows. Okay, so don't overthink it. Your body knows what to do. Just allow the hips to move first and the rib cage will follow. Gentle bend in that right elbow. You can keep the left hand at the low back or open it up toward the ceiling. Gaze is looking straight at the wall to your left now. Breathe deeply into the belly. Notice if any thoughts come in to try to pull your attention away. Just notice what the thought is and bring your awareness back to the breath and back to the sensations in the body. A really great way to be present is to notice how you're feeling right now. Bodily sensation. One more deep breath in. Exhale to bring that left hand back to the low back. We allow the rib cage and the hips to rotate back to center. And just take a couple of breaths here at center. Allow the head and the neck and the shoulders to relax as you breathe. Now on your next inhale, go ahead and come back to center. And we're going to just stretch out a bit through the side body. So first we're going to take it to the right. So you can take your blocks with you as you move here. I'm going to lower mine just one level. Inhale, go ahead and lengthen through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, we're going to walk ourselves over toward the right. Now, there is the option here to grasp the right ankle with the left hand. I find it feels a little tight in the hips doing that. So what I like to do is really take my left hand and reach toward the corner of the wall there. So diagonally away from me. Try to keep your hips square at center. Okay, so try not to let your hips kind of rock to the side. So we're keeping our hips at center and we're reaching through that left hand. This is quite an intense opening, an intense stretch. So you can always decrease the intensity of it by just decreasing the amplitude of your stretch. Okay, just don't stretch as far. And then breathe into that left lung. Imagine that the left lung is all there is, and breathe as deeply into it as you can. Feeling the skin of the left side body stretch. And then go ahead and come back to center. Relax at center. Notice the difference in sensation between the left and right sides. And I want to mention here too, if any of you would like to use a chair, you certainly can as well. You can have a chair here to rest the head on, and you can walk the chair to the left and the right. Okay, that's an option too if the hands just don't, the body isn't open enough to come down to blocks. We can use the chair. Okay, so one more deep breath in here. And as you exhale, we're going to go ahead and walk to the right. So again, keeping those hips at center, reaching this time through the right arm. And just notice the difference in sensation here. One side is likely going to be more open than the other. Our bodies are naturally asymmetrical, and that's okay. But breathe into the right lung now. Imagine the right lung is all there is, and breathe deeply into that. As deeply as you can. One more deep breath in. And exhale, come back to center. As you rest at center, notice how the two sides feel. And we're going to take it on the left one more time here in a moment, because most people are right-handed, and the right lung actually has one extra lobe to it than the left lung does. So the left lung can use a little more attention than the right lung here. So we'll take it once more to the left. I should specify, we're turning to the right, but we're breathing into the left side. It's a little confusing. Okay, so inhale, and as you exhale, go ahead and walk the hands to the right, so we're breathing into the left lung once again. Okay, so 60% of our functional lung tissue is on the back side of our bodies. So really imagine that you're breathing into the back side of the lung, really pulling the air down into that lung as you breathe in. Keeping those hips at center. One more deep breath in. And exhale, go ahead and go back to center and rest at center. Okay, we'll be here for a few cycles of breath, just about 3. Go ahead and breathe into the lungs here at center. Notice how you feel. All right, on your next exhale, we're going to go ahead and make our way back down to our mat. So take your time getting there. And when you arrive, you can scoot your blocks off to one side. And you're going to go ahead and take your blankets. So I have 3 blankets here. I know that based on my anatomy, I probably only need 2. But blankets or towels are fine. Go ahead and grab 3. Some people might need less, some people might need more. But we'll go ahead and grab our 3 blankets here. I'm going to grab 2 of mine. And we're going to come into a gentle back bend. So first what I want you to do is to fold your blanket so that it looks roughly like this. Okay, or your towel. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, but this is going to help kind of set up the size of our blanket roll that we're going to do. So it should be about this size. Give you my arm for reference. Okay, so when you have it like so, you can go ahead and we're going to roll it up. So we're rolling the long side along itself. So just like you're trying to fit your sleeping bag into your sleeping bag at camp, nice and tight. And we're going to be laying on these, so you can go ahead and set them up where you approximately think your sacrum, your lower back, the upper pelvis, about where you think that's going to be on your mat. You can always adjust your body. Right, and then go ahead and do the same thing with the other towel or blanket. Roll it up the same way, nice and tight. And I'm actually going to take my third and just roll it up and have it nearby in case I need it. Okay. And if you're watching this on replay, you can pause it and you can go, find a blanket or a towel. If you didn't bring one, that's totally fine too. So I'm going to have this nearby just if I need it. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring our sacrum, okay, our hips, right up against this blanket, and then go ahead and we're going to bend our knees, bring the soles of our feet together. Okay, so either way, you can have the soles of your feet together here in cobbler's pose, or you can just have the soles of the feet on the floor. And then you're going to gently lower yourself back onto your blankets. Now, your upper blanket should be approximately at the bottom of your shoulder blades. And if you wear a bra or a heart rate monitor, that's about where that goes. The bottom strap of the band of the bra where the heart rate monitor goes, about there. Okay, now on the lower side of things, your butt should be just barely touching the floor. Okay, now I myself have sacroiliac joint dysfunction issues, and if that's the case for you, if you know you have low back issues, you can actually scoot the hips so they're more on the blanket. You can see that there's a good gap between my butt and the floor, so that's because of my sacroiliac joint. And because of that, I might even slide another blanket under my upper body. And if you're getting off of your blankets, just roll to one side, okay? Avoid sitting straight up. That's a lot of strain on the low back. Okay. So this feels a little better for me. And again, my butt is a little further up. Typically, if your low back feels fine, you can allow the butt to kind of drop off the lower blanket there. Okay. And then go ahead and bring your arms to either a W, like cactus arms, or even a Y shape, if that feels good to you. And then with your legs, you can widen the feet and just allow the knees to come together like in a pyramid here. And then breathe into the belly. I don't know if you can see, but my ribs are kind of flaring open, and that's great. That's exactly what we want in the back bend, is for the ribs to open up. And if you were to imagine the diaphragm just kind of being able to fully pull down and inflate the ribs deeply as you breathe in, and to relax up toward the lungs to empty them as you breathe out. Okay, so as you lie here, feel free to close the eyes or soften the gaze. You can gently tuck the chin toward the chest just to lengthen through the back of the neck. And we won't be here for too long. But just really focus on breathing deeply into the belly, allowing the lungs to inflate, the ribs to move, the chest to expand. It's so good as a counterbalance for what we do in our daily lives. So many of us tend to hunch forward. Maybe we're on our phones, maybe we're working at our desks, maybe we're driving. But this helps to kind of counterbalance and open the shoulders, the ribs, the chest. And for so many of us, this sensation of like hunkering down or protecting ourselves, we tend to like close up our chest, right? We tend to want to protect and close up. But that also restricts the breath. And we need to breathe to live, to survive. So when we take this passive back bend, it allows our body to be supported by the earth so that we can breathe deeply into those spots of the body that might be neglected or restrained. So I'll stop talking here. You guys can take 3 breaths on your own at your own pace. And at that last exhale, go ahead and gently bring the hands to the ribs. We're just decreasing the intensity here first. If your legs are extended out long, go ahead and bend the knees again. Bring the soles of the feet to the floor. And then we're just going to gently roll to one side. If you're still on the blankets, that's fine. If you slide off the blankets, that's fine. Okay, and then from our side lying position, you can allow the head and the neck to remain relaxed. We're just going to gently use our arms to press ourselves up just to a seat for a moment. Just close the eyes and notice how you feel. And then when you're ready, you can allow the eyes to open. We're going to take our blankets or our towels and move them to the side. I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of mine and fold them up a little differently here. Okay, so if we have our fold like we started off before, I'm just going to fold it in half hot dog way, I think is the technical term for that. Okay, so now we have our nice little skinny arm length blanket. Again, roughly arm length, doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to do that with 2 of mine to set myself up for the next posture. Okay. Now, the next posture we're going to do is going to be a bolster supported pigeon pose. So even if you can take pigeon pose without a bolster, I invite you to use the bolster today. Okay, and if you don't have a bolster, grab those pillows, and you can use pillows. You can stack them. If you have a body pillow, I kind of like that. It's almost the same length of the bolster, so that can kind of work as well. So we're going to bring our bolster to about the middle of our mat, and we're going to bring blocks to the top of our mat. And then, because I've practiced this posture before, I know that I like a couple blankets here to lift me up. If you have any low back issues, the higher up you are, tends to be more comfortable on the low back. So you might want to start with one blanket and then just have the second one next to you in case you need it. But when you have your bolster or your pillow and your blanket set up, just go ahead and come to sit right up on your bolster like this. Okay? And then we're going to start by putting the right leg back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sweep my right leg back behind my bolster. I'm going to let my left leg come into my traditional pigeon posture, okay, with the sole of my left foot coming toward the right. And I'm not going to worry too much about my left leg now because this is the traditional posture. Now, go ahead and make sure that the front of your right thigh is pressed into the bolster. And you kind of want your sitting bones to be level. Your left hip is going to be in front of your right, and that's normal. That's how our hips work. But we want, for the most part, the front of our right thigh to be pressed into the bolster, supported by the bolster. Okay, and then the foot is going to be pressed into the mat. If you notice that your foot is kind of rotating in or out, you can always take your blanket, which I have conveniently in the right fold, and place your foot on the blanket to kind of neutralize it so it's not tilting one way or the other. Okay, and then when you have yourself set up here, go ahead and fold forward. And that's why the blocks are here. Okay, so you can bring forearms to the mat if that's accessible. If it's not, that's why we have our blocks. So you can go ahead, bring forearms to blocks, and just relax the head down, the neck between the arms. And breathe here. If it's not possible for you to get down to the mat for pigeon pose, we can always do this on a chair. Okay, so if you're comfortable here in your pigeon pose, stay. I'm just going to show you how we would do this on a chair. Okay, so I know some of my yogi friends here prefer to do things on a chair. So if that's the case, ideally you'd have one that has an open back. This is not perfect for what I'm going to do, but you can always pad that with a blanket and then take it on the chair here. Okay, this is also pigeon pose. And if I had an opening, I would stick this foot through that opening. Okay, but that's another option. So, if you're resting here in your pigeon pose, go ahead and take 2 more deep breaths. Okay. And then we're going to start to breathe a little deeper into the lungs. So what we're going to do is on your next inhale, go ahead and take the blocks if you're using them and walk yourself over to the right. Okay, it can be as far to the right as you'd like it to be. Remember, it's going to be a deeper stretch the further to the right you are. And you can even bring the blocks closer to support your forearms. That's what I'm going to do. And then go ahead and relax the head down. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring my left arm further out than my right to reach through those left fingers so I can really breathe into that left side body. And breathe deeply as you can. next exhale, go ahead and walk yourself back to center. And just relax here at center for 3 breaths. And then when you're ready, go ahead and press yourself up. You can scoot the blocks forward just so they're out of your way for the time being. We're going to press ourselves up, and then we're just going to take our back leg and swing it around to meet our front leg here. Okay, so pause for a moment. Notice how you feel. And then when you're ready, we'll take it on the other side. So we're starting off the same way. This time our right leg is going to stay in front of the bolster, and we're just going to swing our left leg back. And if you have a blanket for that back leg, you can adjust that. Okay, so right leg is in front of the bolster. The left thigh is pressed into the bolster, supported by it. Sit bones are level, but that right hip is going to be in front of the left. That's totally normal. And again, if your low back is hurting you here, add another blanket or a towel. Lift yourself up a little bit more here, or even take the chair variation. Okay, and then go ahead and bring your forearms down to the mat, or down to blocks if you are using those, and relax here for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, we're going to walk our hands over to the left. Okay, so once again, you can bring forearm to the block or the mat with that left hand, and we're going to reach through the right hand and arm, breathing into the right side body. Two more breaths here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and walk yourself back to center. Remember, we don't stay for as long on the right side because that lung is larger, and usually the preferred to be more dominant because most of us are right-handed. Okay, and then we can move those blocks forward, and we're just going to kind of shift our weight to our right side so that we can bring our left leg through, and then just go ahead and sit up on your bolster for a few breaths. Notice how you feel. Go ahead and bat the eyes open if they were closed. We're going to come down off our bolster or our pillows. And we're going to finish our practice today with a seated, wide-legged forward fold, but supported. Okay, so there are multiple kind of modifications and ways to get yourself nice and comfy and cozy here. So we're going to bring our bolster between our legs. Okay, our legs are going to be straddling the bolster. They're as wide as is comfortable for you. And you're going to bring the bolster right up against your groin here. Now, if you're super bendy, you might be able to fold all the way forward and relax here. And if you want to, you certainly can. But I'm also going to offer you the option of using books or blocks to elevate yourself. So I'm going to take the first one and put it on kind of this medium height. And the second one I'm going to put on the highest height here. Okay, then I'm going to take my blankets and I'm going to stack them on my bolster. Okay, you might need 2 or 3 blankets. Okay, you might need 4 blankets. It just depends on how easy it is for you to fold forward here. And I feel that fell, and that's okay. If you only end up using one block, that's okay. I'll try to get this guy to cooperate. There we go. And when you do fold all the way forward, you'll have pressure on that, so that should stay there. And again, you might even need 3rd blanket. Okay. So go ahead and take a moment here to set yourself up. When you feel like your belly is comfortably supported by the bolster, if you want, you can lie your head to one side, and when we're halfway through this, I'll let you know to switch the direction of your head. What I'm going to do is kind of fold up this top blanket to support my forehead so that my head can be straight down. Okay, if you have a bolster, you can go ahead and kind of wrap your hands through this strap, or if you don't, you can relax the hands or you can even just grasp the palm with the other hand, or the wrist with the other hand. Okay, so you can allow the feet to kind of fall in if they want to do that. The purpose of this here is just to be fully and completely supported by the bolster or the blankets or the pillows or whatever you're propping yourself up on today. You can also use a chair for this too. Okay, so if you're comfy here, stay here. I'm just going to show some modifications and then I'll be quiet and we can relax. Okay, so if you want to use a chair, what I'd recommend is padding it with a blanket or two. Okay, but you can definitely just relax your forehead on the chair like this. And I might even use a few more blankets if I'm doing this just to really support myself here. But this is nice as well. And if you want to even bring your bolster, you can do that too. So it kind of just depends on how it feels. This is kind of nice actually to have a pillow between your ribs and your hips just to kind of support you as you relax like this. Okay. And then lastly, if you are feeling a lot of pulling in your hips and it's not comfortable to sit flat on them, you can always sit up on a blanket or a bolster. And what I like to do is take 2 blankets usually and kind of stack them so that the folded edges are on top of each other. And then I sit on the pointy end. I sit on the triangular side of it. Okay, so your pelvis is there and you can kind of allow the hips to roll forward and down so you can lengthen through the spine. So that's an option too. So many options. Okay, so when you find a posture that is comfortable for you, go ahead and relax into it. Breathe deeply. Allow your body to be fully supported by the props. Allow the body to breathe you into stillness as we absorb the nutrients of our practice. slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. You can release the hands if they're still clasped and gently press the thumb to each of the fingers in turn. Just gently bringing your awareness back to the body. And then if you're still in your wide-legged forward fold, go ahead and use the hands to gently press yourself up to a seat. You can remove the bolster and the blocks and just come to a comfortable seat, slowly and gently making your way up. And when you arrive, closing the eyes, bringing the awareness to the breath once again. Noticing how you feel the space in the mind, the chest, the belly, the pelvis. To close our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om. If you'd like to join me, please do. Otherwise, just sit and enjoy. So go ahead and bring the palms together at the heart, prayer position, Anjali Mudra. Exhaling completely and inhaling for Om. I want to thank you all for allowing me to guide you in your practice this morning. And bring your awareness of the breath with you off the mat. Breathe into the lungs any chance you get. And just begin to practice breathing deeply and exhaling completely, letting go. Close our practice with gratitude. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in each of you. Namaste. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.